actually, before I get too ahead of myself, I wanted to show you exactly what all I've had to remove. I've already removed a bunch of the pieces, a bunch of the plastic pieces that I had to take off in order to get to the spark plugs. But these are the parts that I had to remove, which is the engine cover, intake cover. These two covers go to each corner rubber trim, the cabin air filter, and this one, which is almost this metal brace that goes on the top. All right, so I'm just gonna do a rough mock-up. I'm gonna put everything back without having to bolt anything up. That way you guys can see exactly how everything is taken off. Like so. Like so. Alright, so this is roughly how everything goes. Roughly. 1 second, actually. Boom. Boom. All I basically did is, this is the steps without having to unbolt everything, but I went ahead and removed the engine cover off first. Snapped off these clips right here. There's 3, I believe. And then with just a flathead screwdriver, loosen up this clamp right here. This will come loose. MAP sensor is disconnected, which is this one right here. So once I removed that, I went ahead and removed this rubber trim piece. I just sliced off from this right here. Remove all the bolts from the cabin air filter. And if you guys need to see how to remove that, I actually have a video on how to remove this cabin air filter already. Once that's done, you remove these plastic covers from each side. No screws, just these 2 little clips. Pop off, one here. And then once that's done, you have to remove these 2 bolts, one on each corner. One right here, and it's this one right here. Oh, don't lose that. Got it. All right, so these things are actually very handy to have in hand. It's just a magnetic pole thingy. It just extends out, and I've used it so many times already in the engine bay alone whenever I drop screws. So have one of these on hand. Okay, so once those 2 bolts are loosened up, you just go ahead and just pry it loose. Make sure that you unplug these 2 sensors, one here, one right here. You remove, you unplug those 2, and then you can slide this right off. Now you actually have to remove the strut brace. So there's a bolt on each side. So there's one here and one right there. For this bolt, you're going to use a 16 torque socket to remove this one and that one over there. Once you remove this bolt, it's not really going to be as loose as it is now. You actually have one more bolt in the center that you're going to have to remove. This is where you have to remove that bolt. So inside of this hole, this is the bolt that holds the strut brace in place. So in order to remove this, you're going to have this cap. Oh, don't lose everything. You're going to have this cap in the way. So something like that. Just get a simple little flathead screwdriver, lefty loosey, remove that cap. And there's the bolt. For this one, I actually didn't have the proper socket, so I used a 9/16 to help get that out of there. Worked just fine. Got that off. Now they're loose. Now you can remove those. Alright, so once we got that, next step I guess is just to remove this plastic cover. In order to remove this plastic cover, we gotta remove these lines that are on top. So I believe you just should be able to just pop these things off. Pop the cover off. Fair warning, this is my first time doing this to this car. Okay, to the side. Alright, that's out. I'll clean this off later. Okay, so once you got those sensors out of there removed, I mean not sensors, these plugs, you guys can see it is this bolt right here that I have to remove. Thankfully I found the bit for that, so a T30 bit, that'll work. Alright, so before I actually forget, I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect the negative terminal, the battery in the back, and then we'll come back and finish this off. Now I should be able to reach the other pack right, coil pack right there. So let's see. My awesome neighbor went ahead and let me borrow a torque wrench so I can go ahead and torque these down to spec. So spark plugs for the M55 is 23 Newton meters, which is 17 foot-pounds of torque. So I went ahead and actually removed a little extra pieces. I took off the air filter housing. I took that off and just kind of cleaned up the motor, engine bay a little bit. dusted it off, just kind of got any debris out of the way so nothing gets inside of the actual spark plug holes. I went ahead and removed the bracket. That's good to go. So the way to remove these is there's a connector that goes in here. So all you gotta do is right there is you prop this open, pull it off, and that's it. And the connector comes off, and then you'll slide in the new one into place. So I already actually went ahead and removed one of them just so I can compare and show you guys. Okay, so that's the old one. That's the old design. And this is the new one. This is a Delphi, and this is a Bosch one. It's a little bit different, but it works just the same, exact same. And I'll show you guys how to remove that. Very simple. Just use one of these. So again, you push up on it, okay? And that just kind of pushes out and releases that sensor, that plug, I mean. Once you remove that plug, you take a some type of flathead screwdriver or one of these extensions for the wrench. Now, if you're gonna reuse the exact same coil pack, careful, you can crack that plastic, but since I'm gonna replace them, I'm not too concerned about it. So you just kind of push up on it. All right, you hear the pop, and it'll come right out. Check if there's any oil. No, so far, two of them are good. These are the 6 that I just removed, the factory ones that came with the car. Never been replaced that I know of. I don't see any oil, nothing at all build up where they connect to the spark plug, which means that my valve cover gasket is still good. I'm keeping these as spares just in case. All new spark plugs. Get these ready and put them in. In order to install or remove these spark plugs, they're at a slight angle, so you need one of these pivoted sockets to remove them. And shout out to my brother, Taraj Mohabati, my brother Taraj. He actually bought this for me, this Milwaukee power tool. Man, this thing has come in handy already, just removing some of the bolts from the plastic trim. So hopefully this works also for the spark plug. Let's try it out and see. Boy, this is dedicated to you. All right, so this actually doesn't have that much torque to be able to remove them. You can actually use it without having to turn it on. Okay. Then once you got that free, you should be able to do this at that point. All right. 1 out, 5 more to go. That one's out. That's number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Number 5. Number 6. These are all 6 of them. I mean, I've owned the car 2 years with, I bought the car when I had roughly around 62,000 miles, I believe, something around that. So it's at 60 plus, and I'm at 95,000 now. So I'm about to hit 100K, and I've never done these myself. So I don't know if they've ever been replaced. I know these are the actual factory ones. BMW, I think you can see the logo, BMW Bosch. So I'm sure these are the factory ones, and I don't think they've ever been replaced, man, that I know of. I mean, they might have, but so these are the brand new ones. These are Bosch double platinums. I mean, you can see the difference. I mean, obviously it's a new, brand new spark plug. So, okay, I mean, it's brand new. So, all right. So the same way you put them out, exact same way you put them back in. So the only thing is now you have to torque them down to spec. 17 foot-pounds of torque or 23 Newton meters. So let's go ahead and put that in. Hopefully you guys can see that right there. There's like rust from the old spark plugs, some black kind of silt right there. So I'm gonna try to remove that. I don't want to put the new spark plugs, but that just kind of sitting there. So there's some of that on each one, if you guys can see that. So I rigged up some way to clean it up. If you guys follow, I think he's M539 or M549, his channel on YouTube. German guy, he works, you know, BMW tech specialist, whatever you want to call it. He's an expert on it. He actually built something like this, kind of, a little funky, but I'm gonna see if I can stick this tube down there close enough where I can remove that. Hopefully it works, so let's see. Let's see if it works. 1, 2, 3. It's working. It's actually working. Hi again. Okay. You see that? It's clean. It actually worked. That's crazy. Now for the spark plugs. Okay. So I'm just gonna put them all in and then I'll torque them to spec once I throw them in. I have the torque wrench right here. Slight mishap. I just had the wrong size, so now I got the right size torque wrench, so now we're good to go. So it's already been set to 17 foot-pounds or 23 Newton meters. So we should be good to go. Okay, so once you have them all torqued down, which they are, now we can go ahead and put in the coil pack. So same way you put them out, you put them back in. You should hear a pop once it clips in. There you go. Put your plugs back in. All right, that's it. All right, so that's it right there. So all you do is, in order to take it out, is you pop this up, and that just pops out the actual plug. So, and that just pops out just like that. So you put it back in, push it in. That's it. 1 down, 5 more to go. I think the hardest part was just, well, I don't want to say the hardest, but the part that took most time is just, you know, breaking up everything apart, taking all the plastic pieces and trim pieces apart, and just to be able to reach the spark plug. So, but actually removing and putting everything back on, it's not that difficult at all. What I've always read about BMWs, how they're so difficult to work on, and yada yada yada. And I guess some things are, but as long as we have the right tools and a little bit of patience, you'll be alright. Check them, make sure they're good. Make sure the lines are crossing, they're tangled up. Finished. And I actually went ahead and cleaned up all these plastic pieces. As you can see, everything's all nice and cleaned up, bottom and inside. So might as well, since I was already here and had the opportunity to do it, why not, right? Also make sure that back here, you run all these lines back to the clips where they were. You don't want nothing kind of dangling or nothing loose. It'll tell you, so the right one goes first underneath, and then the left one goes on top of this one. So. And you have guides right here that'll help you put them in there, so it shouldn't be too difficult to put them in. There you go. And once they're in, just go ahead and bolt it up. I don't have the torque specifications for this, so I'm just gonna make sure it's nice and tight. Tight's better than loose, right? So. Yeah, I went this way. Okay. All right, so these. Oh no. See, I'm always dropping stuff. Where'd I drop it at? Ready again? Ta-da-da! Okay, love you. Love you too. It's finally back into the car. Alright. Car is done. It is looking really nice. I've cleaned up, you know, the whole engine bay, everything's good to go. I mean, I cleaned it up as much as I could. It still is a daily driver, so I mean, like right here, just a little bit of dirt and whatnot. But I'm a little tired. Just, you know, just kind of been out here for, I don't know, maybe a couple hours, few hours, just stopping and going and just dealing with the kids, the dog, and waiting and whatnot. So car's finally put back together. Everything's good to go. Didn't break not one clip. Thank God. So now what I'm gonna do is crank it up. Make sure nothing blows up on me. Let me go ahead and put the battery terminal back on, and let's see if she cranks back up. What the hell is that? Alright, so she's good. Well, that was weird in the beginning. The first two cranks, I had this whistling noise, man. It was so weird. It started bugging out. I don't know. So I just took off the intake, let it sit for a minute, kind of fizzle with it, and everything just works fine now. So I have to kind of learn itself. I don't know. Anyways, car's good to go. All right, guys, I'm in here. Hopefully that helped out in some way. Process itself is not that hard. Just gotta be patient and taking everything apart. Make sure you don't rush into doing anything, and please torque down to spec the spark plugs. All right, that's it. I'm gonna end it here, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Be ready for the surprise coming up. Later, guys.